course 5002, the Social Foundations in Education. I'm Allan Pitman. I'll be coordinating the course over the course of 2013-2014. There are a number of things I'd just like to talk to you about in relation to 5002. Now, in this course we aim to prepare you to make good professional judgments in the classroom. We're going to use that as the core as we run through this entire Social Foundations course. Now, we're going to approach this using the central strand as a question: what does it mean to act professionally as a teacher? Of course, in order for you to be able to answer this question, you'll need to look at what the situation of the teacher is in the classroom. This involves some understanding of the way in which schooling is organised, who makes decisions about what may or may not be done, and some sense of how and why these conditions have come about. You'll need to look at some philosophy of education, some history of education and of public schooling, and of some of the dilemmas which arise and which competing needs have got to be assessed and dealt with. Now, the course is part of a pre-service program which is accredited within the province of Ontario, and consequently we need to use and will use Ontario's situation as the primary case and focus of the course, while recognising that many of you will find employment in other provinces, other countries, and even for a number of you in situations which are not within schools as we commonly assume within a faculty of education such as this. So, going to what we're going to be looking for you to be doing in this course. The site, as you explore it, you'll see that it's structured with the information in general on a week-by-week basis, with each week having a focal issue or a focal question. Now, there are a number of resources which are listed within each of these weeks. These include readings, videos, not too long and on the whole often reasonably entertaining, we hope, and other resources. One of the two key ingredients that we have there are a forum area in which we're going to be expecting you as engaging in the professional discourse with your peers, and you are now entering a professional community in undertaking work in the Faculty of Education, in which issues and topics related to the content of the course, both in terms of what's online and what will be discussed in seminars, which I'll talk about in a minute, are there for you to talk about. Now, these are intended for you to interact with your peers. Now, while your seminar leader will look in on them to see what's being discussed, what issues and concerns arise and so forth, they are there primarily for you to discuss, to interact and to think about the content of the course. The other small component in each week is a self-test in which we have 4 or 5 or 6 multiple choice questions about some of the key concepts or facts that it's important for you to know and simply to self-test on. Now, it's an expectation that you must do these tests. You'll get feedback, immediate feedback as a result of how you answer those questions, and you'll be given a second opportunity to go back and have another crack at the questions that emerges on your self-check in using them that you didn't get right. Now, coming to the tutorial seminars, these are a fundamentally important part of the course. This is a blended course in which we're trying to mix what we think of as being the best of the online technologies which are available to us in enabling you to engage in the material, along with what we think are the very important aspects of the face-to-face and personal interactions that can take place in a seminar. So just as the participation in the activities online are considered a central part of the course, so too is of fundamental importance the attendance at the seminars. Now, the material is set up so that you can prepare for these seminars, and this preparation is essential because the purpose of the seminars is to be able to engage in some quite complex ways in small group discussions and discussions of the seminar group as a whole with the key issues, in most cases in dealing with them in a case sort of situation. So if you were to look in that section each week related to the seminar, most weeks you will find a specific case. You'll be asked to read, think about that case, and to use the material from the week's resources, and where necessary from weeks earlier, in order to be able to come into these seminars and be able to fully engage and get the most out of them. One of the great problems that we often have in developing courses in professional education is the gap that arises between what happens in the faculty on one hand and what happens when students go out onto the practicum school experience on the other. Now, we're making a very conscious effort in this course to try and close that gap, with particular emphasis on having you think about the experience from your first practicum that occurs after 5 weeks of the course. And so I'll come to that a little bit later, because I'm going on now to talk about the assessments in the course, and you'll see how they might relate. When you first arrive, we're going to ask you to write a brief 1 or 2 paragraphs about what your expectations are as to what it means to be a teacher, what your aspirations are, and what you think the role and work of a teacher is. We're going to ask you, not after too long a time, but after the first 5 weeks, to revisit that and to reflect on the content of the course to that point, and to write a longer reflective piece about what you think constitutes working, behaving, acting as a teacher. The second piece of assessment will be one in which we'll be asking you on your practicum to bear at the back of your mind that the course is then moving on to think about issues of equity and of the construction of material in the classroom, of the sorts of way in which you assess kids, and also how your hopes and expectations about what kids are getting out of your classes can be thought about. For example, you want children to know something, to understand something. What does it mean? What do you mean? What do the curriculum guides mean when they talk about knowing, when they talk about understanding? So the next piece of assessment will be asking you to make use of the sort of thinking, the sort of work that you did during the practicum in relation to that section of the content. The second part of the course after the Christmas break continues in considerable more depth the concerns about equity, gender equity, special education, First Nations education, what it means to be in a multicultural society, and rounds out with dealings with very specific relation to how the law affects you as a teacher, using again the situation of Ontario, but recognising that parallel situations will exist wherever you go. There will be 2 pieces of assessment in relation to this. With relation to the equity, there will be a group project which will be presented during the seminars as they relate to the particular aspects of equity which are being considered at the time. And the final piece of assessment will be a case study in which you'll be able to bring together much of the information from the course as a whole, but particularly focused around the aspects of the law. We're looking forward to this course. I hope that you're looking forward to it, and I hope you feel at the end of the course even more positive about it than I